Welcome all, Raymond for Stream Gamers. Once again, we're doing a bit of a voiceover on a video that I shot with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, the Alpha Edition. We're seeing some of the walk-around scenery and so forth and how this works. We are in New Zealand, so our Kiwi friends, this is kind of what it looks like. I shot this in sometime in October. I'm not sure about the weather, how accurate that actually is, but that is what we're seeing. I have a couple of friends that live in New Zealand. I did discuss this with them, and they did allude to the fact that there could be snow, but it doesn't seem like there should be this much here. We're in Milford Sound. Okay, so we're doing a walk around. It appears that I've been struggling a little bit to try to get clicked onto those things, but later on I realized I made it more complicated than it needed to be, and I didn't realize something. So for those that are seeing me kind of fumble around trying to get those points clicked, I don't know if I would necessarily blame Microsoft for their programming as much as I would blame me for my inability to see the simple way of doing it. Anyways. I had a subscriber made a comment regarding, the walk around and that kind of stuff. So here, Mr. or Mrs. Subscriber, I've forgotten your name. I wish I had remembered it, but I have forgotten it. Here it is. This is the kind of the walk around, and the walk around goes much more than just this. We don't have to stay here. We could walk around in the forest and all that wonderful stuff. So we're removing, wheel chocks, pitot tube heaters, engine covers, and so forth and so on. We're also able to open and close hatches and stuff like that. So it's quite neat. I really like it. One of the things that I've also had a subscriber made comment about, and that is the ground. This is an alpha edition. The way I understand it, it's more about a stress test than it is actually about the eye candy. And it appears that Microsoft hasn't put in that ground texturing and stuff like that we were looking forward to see in its entirety. They did some, but the grass isn't there, the long grass blowing in the wind and that kind of stuff isn't there. So we assume that upon the release it will be there. So when we click on those things, as you saw, we get the green, that green right there, notifying us that we have successfully completed that task. Okay, and you'll see it again there. I've successfully completed removing the wheel chocks and so forth, checking the strut and all of that good stuff. I think you can get quite detailed about this. I didn't know enough about it, so I didn't. And these videos that I was recording, I wasn't necessarily recording them, the few that I've released so far, I wasn't necessarily recording them for release, and so I wasn't worried about the audio. In all of these videos, I was in a Discord channel chatting and talking with friends of mine, and so hence some of the voiceover recording, and it will happen in this video too further along the line, where the communication was getting quite overwhelming, and so I've removed that audio out, and it will just be narration and the visual effects of it. And I do apologize for that, but at the same time I feel like it's important to release the video because of the interest. I mean, look at the view. The view is just stunning. I've elected here to go to what I think is summertime in New Zealand because I think it gives a better illustration. So off in the distance there you can see there's a little village in there. And in 2020 that village exists. It just isn't as rich and vibrant as it is in 2024. So we're going to hear the doors open and see them. And that's how we gain entry into the cockpit. So once we're in the cockpit, then here shortly we're going to get around to getting it all started up and ready to go. Here we go. So here we go. We'll see what we can do about getting this thing ready for departure. And we're off like a herd of turtles. Isn't that incredible, that scenery? Now, I don't know if the scenery is much better in 2024 here than it was in 2020, although we did have add-ons and stuff like that, so I didn't have default scenery. I just don't know if it's much better. It is better, and I think that the biggest thing that makes it better is the trees. We are going to be taxiing down here. Now, I know, in advance, I'm going to have a bit of an issue with a tree. Now, before you say it, I am taxiing a little off to the left-hand side. This is true. But before we have the incident with the tree, I get closer to the center line. Those that get into 2024 and you're taxiing here, be mindful of this particular tree that's going to come out and get us. And you can see that I'm well clear of the tree, the offending tree, which is right here, and I'm well clear of it, and yet I hit it. And now I'm assuming it's the tree that I'm hitting, just because how it's kind of pushed me over and that kind of stuff. So whether that's true or not, I don't know if it was the tree or if there's some other erroneous stuff there. I did a slew. It took me a hot minute to figure that out, but I did. And so here we go. I won't waste your time with the probably 5 or 10 minutes that it took me to figure that all out, but because it took me a minute or 7 or 12. But yeah, here we go. Just the views are just stunning. We have in my mind been very blessed to be able to have a simulator such as this, to be able to experience the world over. 4 years ish of 2020 has kind of, in my mind, has kind of spoiled me, and I tend to, forget the scenery in which we flew in previous. I just take it for granted. We're going to leave here where my piloting skills have not been great in this video. Here's a part of it. And I'm not sure, was I distracted while I was flying? I don't know, because I typically fly much better than what you're about to see. But this isn't really about flying. This is about scenery. The white markings along the left edge there, which are moving as I fly, is a new issue for Milford Sound. I've not seen that before. Likewise, that cruise ship out there is new as well, but I haven't seen this white stuff. Now, I don't know if, is it something on my end? I haven't seen this anywhere else in 2024. but that doesn't mean that, you know, there's some glitch or whatever. I don't know. It's probably the biggest thing that I saw in terms of glitching. For those that can't see, the frame rate is 140, and this was a series that I was doing about performance, and in some areas we struggle with performance. Not so much here, but the frame rates are incredibly higher, much higher than I've had anywhere else. This part of the scenery, I think, is relatively the same. I don't know. That view that you're seeing now, that I would suggest is probably better. It's quite impressive. Had it not been for those little white marks there, there's glitches in the water. And here as well. The left-hand side mountain just looks washed out. It looks washed out in 2020 as well, and it just looks washed out here. So they haven't, and this was one of the things that I wanted to see, had they fixed it. They haven't. And then of course they introduced the water glitch, and still, you know, the scenery is quite impressive. Overall, I think it's quite impressive. We're getting ready to exit the fjord here, and we are going to fly. We're going to fly a few legs. So we're flying from Milford Sound to Martins Bay to Big Bay Beach Strip to Gorge River Airstrip. I'll try to remember to put the ICO codes in the description of the video, just so you can, if you decide to fly this leg and see for yourself and do some comparisons with 2020 to what we're seeing here today. I have flown this a number of times, and in 2020, and I'm going to say that it's been my experience in general, 2024 across the board has had better scenery across the board. It for sure has had better performance across the board. This is a place that it's kind of hard to see some of the improvement of scenery and so forth as we're flying along the coast here. But when you get to the airstrips themselves and the airport themselves, like Milford Sound, it's good. I think it's better than what it is in 2020. For sure it's better than what it is in 2020 natively. I wish I had, in this video, I wish I had taken a few stops around various other airports in New Zealand, such as Queensland. I think that would have been a good place to go. Now, I did do it, I just didn't record it. Although I do believe I might have a stream that I did where I recorded a lot of various different places, so maybe it's in there. If it is, I'll do a little clip of that and put it out there as well. In 2024 Alpha Edition, some of the notable things that I've seen here is, as I pointed out before, improved performance. For those that are wondering, not seeing any other content that I've put out, my specs on my system are a Ryzen 7 5800 X3D processor. I've got 32 gigs of DDR4 memory at 3600 megahertz. I've got a 4080 graphics card, and I've got a 2K monitor that I'm using. And yes, I know I should have a 4K, and I'm working on that. Watch the previous videos, you'll get it. I've pointed that out a few times already. So, you know, the beaches, there is some notable improvement in the beaches area, and you'll see some of that as we land in some of these places. The trees are notably different and better, in my opinion, and they're also region correct, right? The other thing that I've noticed, that there has been a more or less an improvement of. I don't want to say they fixed it entirely, but for those that have been flying 2020, Microsoft 2020, we all, I'm sure, are aware, especially some of these smaller airports where there's these enormous trees. They feel like they're 50 feet they feel like they're 500 feet tall right in front of the runway. The few airports that I flew around in smaller regional airports, my own home regional airport, that doesn't exist. They don't exist. And even if they do exist, they don't exist terribly tall and notably in the way, like they seem to exist in Microsoft 2020. So that's one thing that I'm hopeful that has been addressed. I wouldn't want to say for sure that it has, but I'm hopeful that it has been addressed. Right, we are on our way, and we're coming to Martins Bay, and just over the rise of this hill that we see in front of us, that we're going to kind of skirt the very top of it. We're going to start seeing the marker for Martins Bay. I contemplated on removing markers out and then decided that I would leave them in because they allow the viewer not knowing the region maybe to see a little bit where we are. And if they didn't get the name of the airport that we were going to, they would see it now. So it's way off in the distance out there, but you can see it. It's kind of at your, at my 12 o'clock-ish. That is where we're going to be landing for our first stop. And then beyond this is the longest leg that we're doing from Milford Sound to here. That's the longest leg. All of the other legs are really the next two legs are quite short, and this leg was only 19 miles, but there's a little bit of time in between, so please stay tuned, watch the rest of it. I promise the legs will get shorter and there'll be a lot less flying, but I also like I want to make sure that people can see for themselves and get enough feel for what 2024 is about in various different regions, from the performance aspect, from the scenery aspect. This one not so much from the flying aspect, because I haven't done the world's greatest job, as you'll see. Stick with the video, you'll see further along. It doesn't get better as we go along. Fine wine ages, fine wine is aging, or it's supposed to age better. I'm not a wine drinker, but that's supposed to be getting better as time goes by. This video and my flying, the flying doesn't get better. The rest of it gets pretty good. So here we are, way off in the distance there. We can see our airport, and I thought it was over the last rise, but apparently not. There's a couple more little peaks that we got to get around, and so we'll get around. You've likely noticed at this point there is no aircraft noise or audible. That audible is gone, and as I said in the beginning of the video, that's where we had a lot of communication going on in Discord, and it was getting very difficult to be able to do this and have that sound in the background. I may, down the road do a live stream, and if I do a live stream and there's people in there talking and so forth, I may just leave that in. But in this video, I don't think it's worthwhile having that there. So the eerie silence may pop out from time to time, and I'll apologize for that. It's a good time to kind of look around. And it's a good time at this point to request the like, comment, subscribe, notification bells, all those things. I'm attempting to try to grow the channel and get more subscriptions and more watch hours and all those good stuff like most people are trying to do. And so I would humbly and gratefully, I request, reach down there and hit the like button. And should you feel inclined to go ahead and hit a subscription for me, I would greatly appreciate that. Yeah. So there off in the distance lies our first arriving airport. So this part right here, in my mind, is notably better from the default scenery of Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. Now, I know there's been a lot of add-on scenery that's improving, and Microsoft as well has improved scenery throughout the sim, but I still think this view, and I've flown this many times in 2020, and I feel like this view is just considerably better, even though some of the ground textures that we were anticipating getting and we're supposed to be getting are not here. And like I said before, I think that's going to come on the final release, and they just didn't put it in the alpha edition. That's my belief, anyways. This approach coming into Martins Bay, I've done many times as well, and I will say that this approach coming in is in my mind notably better. Now, there has been a lot of content created in 2020, so be mindful if you're comparing this to your 2020 add-on content that you've purchased or paywared or got a good copy of some freeware version, and you're saying to yourself, well, it isn't any better. If you remove all that out and then look at it, you will see, hopefully you will see that this is better. Look at the water textures and so forth, the reflections off the water. It's pretty good. It's pretty spectacular. Here we are. And the trees, look at the trees, how well they are, how nice they are. They're really good. I landed a little short, but overall not bad. This wasn't one of my problem child landings. That's coming further along the way. So we'll leave here. We'll taxi out to the end, and we'll do a turnaround out there, and we'll leave the same way we come in. I have attempted to, just mash the throttle forward and take off again, and you can. But I'm going to take off here. I'm going to turn around and take off the other way, and then we're going to, once we get to the little river's edge there, we're going to make a right-hand turn, and we're going to fly out. Oops, I shouldn't be putting my cut down like that. It's probably picking it up. All right, here we go. Tally-ho. Let's see. Well, I thought we were tally-hoing, but we will be tally-hoing momentarily. And here we go. There we go. Now we're gone. I don't know what the accuracy of this landing strip. I don't know that this is correct. I've seen a couple of variations of it, and so I don't know. There we got a little wing, or right wing lifted a little bit before the rest of it did. A little herky-jerky, but not bad. And there we go. And here I wish I had, when I changed the weather from winter to summer, I wish I had put some weather in here, a little bit of cloud and maybe a little bit of wind and that kind of stuff. I just think it would have improved the scenery considerably, because it's rare that you're going to see such still water, and it's rare that you're not going to have any breeze and trees moving and stuff like that. So this is a 6-mile leg. We're going to just come over top of that little ridge that we're seeing mostly in front of us, and then we're going to see a part of the beach where we're going to land on. Look at the beach down there, and how well that looks. Like, I think that looks spectacular, and I think in general, I think it looks better than we've seen in Microsoft 2020. Just as a side note, while we're doing this, I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to mention it again. For those people that are running older systems, I would caution you to not overreact if you don't need or want to. I mean, if that's your plan, to overreact and go out and get a brand new computer and get all the latest and greatest and that kind of stuff, that's your plan to do it anyways, and then off you go, so be it. But if you're feeling like you need to do it because you won't be able to fly the sim, this is living proof. I'm flying it. I certainly don't have the highest end machine. I look at the specs, that the minimum and recommended and maximum specs that Microsoft suggests. Don't get mesmerized by 64 gigabytes of memory. There has been a live stream that Asobo Microsoft put out there, and the need for 64 gigs was not for the sim. It was if you were running a lot of auxiliary other programs, i.e. OBS, like I'm using for this. If you had, if you're running a whole pile of other applications over and above the sim, they are recommending this 64 gigs. In flying here, I didn't get above 16 gigs of usage for the entirety of the system, recording and everything. I didn't get above 16 gigs. So just be mindful of that. I recommend, if I were on an older system and I was questioning whether or not mine could run it, in seeing what I've seen now, watching a video such as this, I would follow the advice, and my advice will be, don't not get your new system, but give it a minute, get the sim, get it installed, and run it and see. I've seen a notably huge improvement in a lot of places, minimal improvement maybe in some places, but in overall I've seen probably a 25% increase in frame rate. And let's face it, frame rate is for me is not what's important. What's important is how smooth it is. No stutters, no hiccups, no, tearing and none of that kind of stuff taking place. And I flew, I think 5 or 6 of these videos that I did around the world, and I have no problems. I've had no hiccups. I've had no stutters. I've had no, and I've gone into big airports like New York, LA, London, Tokyo, just the same as I've done a whole bunch of. Boston's another one that I struggle with. Anyways, so let's get back to some scenery, because that's what this is mostly about. Look at the scenery. I mean, just look at how nice it is. Look at the beach. Look at the trees around the mountain off in the distance and so forth. It's just it's quite. To me, it's incredible. A guy who lives up in the Great White North of Canada, right in the middle of it all, and I'm able to see this type of scenery. I realize it's not 100% accurate and real, but it's pretty impressive what we're seeing, what I'm seeing. Here we're going to discover some of the issues with, not issues, but some of the realities of changing and flying and soft ground. You're going to see what will happen as I get on what I think is the runway, but it actually isn't. It's right at the edge of the water. And you're going to see some of the issues with doing this kind of stuff, which is that. This is what happens. I had a subscriber talk about the realism of it all. You know, it doesn't seem real. There was a video clip that I had where I showed myself taking off on the beach, and he said it just didn't look real to him or feel real to him because I was able to do that. In the real world, I shouldn't. Well, true enough. But you see there, I caught the edge of the water, and around we went. Here we get to see kind of the load time, what it actually takes to get back into the sim. I sped this up a little bit, just because I didn't want all of it there, but so we're coming in here right there, Martin's Bay. I guess that's where we are. No, sorry, I take that back. We're at Big Bay Beach Strip, and that's how quick that was. Like it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick from having to restart the sim and getting back in the sim. It happens pretty quick. You see the dust kicked up as we're throttling up, which is kind of a new thing too. I think there is an add-on for 2020 that allows you to do that kind of stuff, but it's not native, and this is natively in the sim. Imagine that view, and the grass is actually there, and you can actually see the grass. Imagine what that view looks like, because it will be what it will look like. Apparently, I needed to do a screenshot there. Right, here we are, getting ready to let her rip. You're going to see another example here shortly of landing on the beach like this, and you can vision that. I have a friend of mine who lands his big tube liner here, and you see I've caught the edge of the water, and I've done this purposely because I've caught the edge of the water, and you see I've full throttle, and I can hardly get out of there. So imagine what it would be like if you put like a tube liner down on this beach. You would dig yourself in the sand. You may get it on the beach, but I don't know that you were going to get enough thrust to get it off the beach. And so here I've decided, I've touched the water a little bit again, and I'm just pulling up. There we go. So for those that are looking at this stuff, the realism, that part of the realism is much closer than it ever has been. I'm not a real world pilot, so I can't say that for a fact. But you saw as I drifted into the water, you saw how that drifting in, that drifting in the water was difficult. I would not have been able to take off had I not pulled myself out of that water. I was losing speed, and I wouldn't have had enough power to take off. And here we are. We are on the home stretch. I will ask carefully one more time. Please give us a like. Give us a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me, is the video good? Tell me your thoughts about some of my ideas, my thinking. Am I wrong in saying that the video, the scenery is better? Give me your comments. Give me your views. put your comments down there in the bottom there and tell me what your thoughts are. If you have questions, you know, had I maybe not covered something that you thought was important or you'd like to know, by all means ask. I did fly for about 3 days around all over the world when I had the Alpha Edition. So I flew all over North America, I flew all over Europe, I flew Asia. I mean, I didn't go in every place because it was only 3 days, but I put a lot of hours in flying, and a lot of it I recorded. Not as got great quality, but I recorded it. So if you have questions, reach out, put a comment in the comment section. You know, make your ideas or your thoughts or your comments known. I will do my best to answer them. We are coming on Gorge River Airstrip, our final destination. We are going to land on there, and that is where we'll actually end the video. And off in the distance, you can see the tag for Gorge River. It's a really neat airstrip. There is an add-on pack for that in, I believe it's in flightsim.to. That somebody has graciously put out there as a free add-on pack. They've done a nice job. I don't know if it's realistic. I don't know if that package is, you know, very realistic to what actually is there, but it looks nice. There's a lot of nice eye candy, and it's a free resource. So by all means, go to flightsim.to, look up Gorge River and or NZQE. Just look it up. You'll hopefully be able to see and still be able to find it. I presume that it's still active. I have no reason to believe that it isn't. This is going to be not necessarily a beach landing, so those people that have been here will realize it's a nice airstrip. With a 172, you should be able to comfortably get in here. You should be able to comfortably get in here. You probably wouldn't want to get in here with, you know, like a King Air and that kind of stuff. Although with reverse thrust, maybe you can. It's a little narrow, so that's another thing. It'd be a perfect airport to come here and land here with your you know, bush plane and that kind of stuff. I can see people coming to do that quite regularly. So here we are on final approach. I think my airspeed is pretty good. I'm right around 60 knots. I believe I've got full flaps out. It's hard for me to see in the recording software, but I believe I got full flaps out. Got a reasonable amount of trim put in. I think I'm coming in quite well. And as I said, look at the scenery. Look at the beach and the trees. This looks a little weird right here. It just looks like there's a picture. There isn't actual trees there. And it looks like they've done that a few places. And here's one where they've done that. But anyways, I think I'm coming in well. I think I'm a little low, but my speed is good. And I've purposely made my speed good. I've touched down at a reasonable spot. And yet, I should be able to stop, and I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to just zip on right on by. What I did wrong, don't know. Did my brakes not? I have rudder pedals. Did I not engage the brakes? I don't know. But I should have been able to stop quite easily. We're going to do a little outside view here, and we're going to show you some of the effects of what it looks like when you land. You can see there's some tire tracks. They're kind of hard to see. There they are. You can see the tire tracks. The ground is soft, and you can see them. You're going to be able to see as I turn through here. This isn't maybe as realistic as it should be because I'm going through the water. Now, is that a shale rock there? I don't know. Watch as we come and taxi up here and look at the ground. See the tire marks that are there, and you can see that they're quite deep. Right there, you can see that they're quite deep. And I dug in pretty good. Yeah. So here we are at the end. Raymond for Stream Gamers. I appreciate your time. I've enjoyed this, and hopefully we'll do more. Thank you for watching, and till the next one.